Thank you all very much. Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes. If anybody has read and wants to offer the January 8th minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes from January 8th.
Motion and a
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's unanimous. You have the minutes. New business. Open Space and Recreation Plan Draft Update Presentation. Who's our presenter? I'm sorry, you're absolutely right. I have a couple of administrative things. I went ahead of myself. First, I want to introduce, we have a new member to the Conservation Commission, David White. This is his first meeting. He's a new member. We have a lot of new members. We've had some turnover, and I'd like you all to welcome David. And now I'd like to talk about who he replaced, although I'm not sure it's possible to replace Joe Lynch. Joe Lynch recently retired from service on the Conservation Commission. He joined the commission in April 20th, 1994. He was elected chairman in June of 96, and he served his first term as chairman from 96 to June of 98. After that period of time, he had miscellaneous times when he served as either vice chair or chair during his tenure on the commission. Joe was a dedicated member of this commission and a dedicated member of the town and town government in general. He was an active participant in town meeting regarding the NACC interests. I had the pleasure of serving as vice chair for Joe, and during one meeting when Joe was chairing, there was a disorderly person in the audience, and Joe kept asking him to stop, and he wouldn't stop, and Joe wanted him to be quiet, and he just wouldn't be quiet. He wouldn't stop. So Joe took the gavel, slammed it down on the table. The head of the gavel went flying off into the stratosphere, and then Joe looked at me and said, "Sergeant at Arms, do your duty." And I was speechless. I didn't know we had a sergeant at arms position on the commission. Happy to do it, but it took me a few minutes. I stalled out. The disorderly person quieted right down. I guess the gavel flying over his head scared him. That was the end. He never disorderly again. And that was one of the many Joe Lynch moments that are going to be hard to replace. He is a registered professional engineer. Invaluable at reviewing projects. His technical expertise. I regarded him as the real subject matter expert in the room, and it's going to take some big shoes to replace him. So those are my thoughts on Joe. We're going to miss him. I'm going to miss him. And Jack Mabin also wants to have a few words.
Yeah, if I could just add to that. Joe Lynch was a good friend to the commission and a good friend of mine, personal friend of mine. He made some really steady contributions to the town and to this commission over the course of his over 20 years in service. He contributed a lot of technical information as a civil engineer, but also those contributions were seasoned with his experience in town DPW operations, which he had a very extensive career on. So, as Al mentioned, it was he's got some pretty big shoes to fill. His service was steady over the course of a long period of time, in the face of, and I know him very personally, some pretty rigorous career challenges, and also the regular family rigors that come with having 3 kids. So he was very consistent, and we greatly appreciate that, to have meeting after meeting after meeting. I think the thing that stands out to me on his biggest contribution was when he was the chairman, he led the effort to rewrite our town bylaw, which he did an excellent job and really took a leadership position. That's been a lasting testament to his service over the course of many years. So He's made his mark on the town of North Andover. We love him. We greatly appreciate what he's done for us, and we hope we can do as well without him.
Sean McDonough also would like to add.
Yeah, just a couple comments about Joe. I've had the honor of serving on this commission with him for 23 or 24 years. He is the Tom Brady of conservation commissions. He really is. There is nobody that's ever been more better at what they do than he was at this position. And this position is it's a temporary position, but he was amazing at it. He was such an asset, and all of us together, I don't think, can replace what he brought to this commission as one individual. He goes down as a legend, and again, I'm proud to have served with him.
And Joe, we hope you're watching. Have a good one. All right, now we will have to get on to business. We're going to go to new old business. Now we'll go to the Open Space and Recreation Plan draft update. So you can do either sit or stand, and less is more.
Yes, I understand that. Thank you. Do you have, okay. So I do have a presentation, and I'll
Just bring that mic a little closer to you.
Yeah.
That's perfect right there.
Is that good?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we'll just go through a presentation for you all, and then I'll answer any questions that you have. So next.
So let me
Oh,
introduce
but if you wanted to.
Krista Moravec. She's our consultant that's leading the charge for updating our open space plan. She's with Horsley Witten Group, and she's been fabulous to work with, and I think she put a great presentation together just to give you an overview. So I'll hand it over.
Thank you, Amy.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if you knew who I was. So the Open Space and Recreation Plan, just to give context, because open space can mean different things in different plans. So for the OSRP, the Open Space and Recreation Plan, we're talking about public and private undeveloped land that has conservation or recreational interest or value. It's got ecological habitat, recreation potential, those types of interests. Parks is a little more intuitive, our playgrounds, ball fields, and courts. Next slide, please. So why does the town have this plan? Really to maintain the benefits of those resources. Their economic benefits, social, environmental benefits. As preparing a plan, you understand where you are, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there. It's an opportunity to measure success in meeting needs of the community and addressing challenges. And lastly, it keeps the town eligible for funding, so it supports the town in that regard. The Division of Conservation Services is the entity that approves these plans, and maintaining an approved plan keeps you eligible for funding through that agency. So this is a plan that gets used. So these are some of the accomplishments since the last update. So you're familiar with the acquisitions that have taken place. The town adopted its farmland of local importance designation. It updated its lake Cochiquit. I just needed a primer, thank you. Watershed plan, you've gone through some resiliency planning and so forth. So from the recreational side, you have an athletics field master plan and have made improvements at various facilities. This is just an overview of how we got here. So just our process, reviewing what you've done to date by way of any reports and studies, inventories. We do interviews. We reach out to stakeholders. We had a public workshop in September of 2023. We did a follow-up survey. We had almost 700 respondents to that survey. We worked on a draft plan. We had another open house engagement this past summer, and we can put together a draft plan. And part of that effort, so DCS, as one of the requirements, is to get letters of support from different, specifically they require the planning board, the select board, and the regional planning agency, which is the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission, thank you. But also, we're also here asking for a letter of support from the Conservation Commission. As you'll see, you have a lot of responsibilities that you've been given in this action plan, so we want to make sure that you agree with them. Next slide, please. Just going to do a very high level touch on some key points for the plan. It has required sections, a community profile, environmental inventories, there's a needs analysis, needs of the community, natural resource protection needs of the town to manage and operate its resources that it has jurisdiction over, outlines goals and objectives, and a 7-year action plan. And and we'll touch on that briefly. Yep. So the inventory includes municipal properties, properties of the Commonwealth. For private entities, we take inventory of the Chapter 61 lands, conservation restrictions, private cemeteries, and nonprofit lands are also inventoried. And this just gives a snapshot. This is from the plan itself, so in there you can see the legend of the color coding, but it gives you a sense visually of the distribution of resources in town. So when we wrote the analysis of needs, so on the left, we had a committee that had with representation from the different departments, recreation, the Division of Youth Services, Recreation, Youth and Services, excuse me, planning department. Amy was on our committee, so we met with them regularly to give guidance. There's our workshop and our surveys, our interviews, and the town does a lot of planning and initiatives related to open space and recreational resources, so those are the plans that we also took into account. We want to make sure that we're consistent, we're continuing to move those, their recommendations and their action items forward. So quickly, summary of the needs that we heard from the community, open space needs, increasing awareness of the town's conservation areas that have public access, continuing to build trail networks. For recreation, we heard loudly that that adults between the ages of 30 and 65 are looking for more opportunities, whether it's facilities or programming, demands for field, but also maintenance and upkeep. Environmental justice is also considered, just ensuring that there are access to these resources for communities that, so environmental justice are the areas that are lower income, minority neighborhoods, based on the criteria that the Commonwealth has established. So we want to make sure that we're including them in our outreach efforts, but also ensuring their access to resources. And finally, accessibility, ADA, accessibility for people with disabilities, so looking at ADA, but also the idea of universal design where you're thinking about just access in general for different abilities and those opportunities. Thank you. Resource protection, so continuing to work on water quality, stormwater management, and green infrastructure, particularly the lake, I'm going to say Lake C, thank you, and Stevens Pond were highlighted, and then the important landscapes, habitats, and cultural resources of North Andover, the importance of agricultural lands. Trees and forestry were also had needs, inventory of the town's public trees, and just recognizing their importance and their different contributions. Next slide, please. Finally, so operation and management needs of your resources. So conservation areas, the need for a town-wide management plan, really a strategic effort for management of the town's conservation land. Implementing the athletic fields master plan that the town already has, and ensuring that any new programming that's increased, that staffing is able to match that. Continued communication engagement, we also heard about that, just about resources that are available, status of ongoing projects, promoting environmental stewardship, and continuing to be able to manage building resilience to climate change and natural hazards, such as the town's hazard mitigation plan and the municipal vulnerability preparedness, so that's the MVP, maintaining eligibility for those fundings at the state level. So in order to meet those needs, as I mentioned, there's a 7-year action plan. These plans need to be updated every 7 years. So you can go on to the next slide, please. So there's a lot of key players and role and supporting partners that participate in implementation of the plan. This is a listing of all of those that we've captured. And we have, next slide, please. That's okay. 4 goals. I'm just going to briefly walk through them, and I thought I would just highlight where we identify the Conservation Commission as part of implementation under those goals. So next slide, please, Amy. So the first is related to implementing this open space and recreation plan and making sure that it's done with other town policies, plans and regulations. So nothing specific for the Conservation Commission under this goal, but really just ensuring one of the actions here is determining if there's a need for an open space committee, which would be tasked with implementing this plan. It's been highlighted in your master plan, ensuring that you're securing funding to maintain an open space and recreation plan, and just collaborating across different departments. Thank you. Our next goal is about protecting the town's natural environment and its open spaces to maintain a lot of these important functions. So continuing to implement your watershed management plan for Lake C, and continuing to protect land in its watersheds, continuing to work with property owners to enroll in the Chapter 61 program, and promoting stewardship on your land and open spaces. Those specifically we highlighted for the CONCOM. Thank you. Our third goal is ensuring that North Andover residents have opportunities to be active and enjoy nature. So for the CONCOM, just continuing to increase the distribution of open space and recreational areas in underserved neighborhoods, so as encouraging the dedication of land and sort of targeting those areas where they lack resources or might not have a lot of opportunities. Continuing to expand the trails and walking network townwide, and just more information about existing trails to encourage their use. And our last goal is to build capacity to support the planning, protection, management, and sustainable use of the town's open spaces and recreational areas. So for the CONCOM, working on a management plan or a strategy that can guide the stewardship of the town's conservation land. So having a cohesive effort and sort of finding efficiencies across all of those different types of lands. Looking to reevaluate the use of 400 Great Pond Road in order to balance water quality protection and public access, and developing criteria and establishing a ranking process to help prioritize land for protection, having that in mind. So as I mentioned, we are doing our roadshow for letters of support. So we did meet with the planning board, and I just wanted to highlight some of the comments that we received from them that we will be incorporating. So there will be a management study at Lake C, starting, if not now, shortly, and sort of the outcomes of that, doing a lot of modeling and analysis. So there will be some recommendations on how to, some actions to mitigate impacts to the lake. To add, they would like us to add that Brooks School is also exploring the use of electric engines on their water vessels, because they have gas powered. I guess they're exempt, so they're looking for opportunities to use electric. And then just the watershed plan, there was an action item in there about annual coordination between the different entities here, just to making sure that that dialogue happens and that informs decision making. So making sure that we incorporate that in this plan, and the planning board would like to be added to the actions that are listed there. And with that, I will take any comments or questions.
Just 1 second, let me go through the commission first, and then I'll happily bring you up.
I'm
Brett,
all set.
anything, Marissa? Questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, just a question on the previous slide about the planning board actions. I guess, would we be notified of those as well?
Yep, so our next steps is we're gonna go through and make revisions as needed, so we'll add them to those actions, and then we can redistribute the plan. We can post it up on the town's website and have that available.
No questions or comments, thank you.
Yeah, is there a phased action plan for this, maybe year
Yes.
one, year two, et cetera?
Yes, that's a great question, and I should have mentioned that. So the 7-year action plan, it is organized around so each action has a time frame. We anticipate it to begin or to start or complete. We identify a lead to move that action forward, any support, and we also assign a potential funding source. So we don't put costs to the action items, but if we know there's a grant available, we'll identify that grant, or if there's other funding opportunities to implement that. But yes, it is organized around time frame, within the 7-year time frame.
So I'm assuming conservation will have a task list
Yes.
to address.
And a time frame.
Yep.
And that's really you should also recognize that opportunities may come sooner, and then you may have challenges in meeting an action for various reasons, but we do set a time frame.
Okay, no more questions.
Sean?
I don't have any questions at this point, thank you.
Thank you.
David?
No, almost set.
Okay, young lady back there, if you would, come up to the podium and just give us your name and ask your question or make your statement, whichever.
I'm Carol Disney. This is super quick. 400 Great Pond Road, is that where the boat ramps are?
400 Great Pond Road?
It's funny, that's what I was looking up on the.
Yeah, I don't know where that
Well,
is.
right, you know that house that looks like it's sitting on the water?
400 was
Yes.
the,
That's 400 Great Pond Road.
Okay,
that was the Potter estate.
okay.
That was the house that was built 125 years ago in the lake.
And the town bought that, right? Or-
The town bought it and
Okay.
it has a committee that is taking action on it. But yes, the town did buy it.
Okay, I guess I'll ask it another time what the action is, but that's off topic,
So
so.
I don't know if
They
we
have
have
a-
anybody, I don't know if anybody on the
Okay.
commission is on that, has
Yeah,
a double
it's
seat.
fine. I just didn't know where you were talking about. So thank you. Amy, I sent you an email,
You did, okay.
and you answered me.
I did?
You were very nice, yes.
Oh.
Take credit.
We're happy to hear that, thank you.
Speak into the mic next time.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any questions or concerns regarding the open space presentation? So Amy, what's next on open space?
Well, if you guys, if you want to chew on it a little bit more, and if you have any comments or suggestions for additions, edits, or whatever. you
Nobody's
can-
got anything right now that
Yeah.
I'm hearing of.
So, I mean, if you come up with something in the next, I don't know, couple of weeks.
Couple of
few
weeks, yeah.
Let me know,
All
and
right.
we can incorporate that for the final draft before we send it off to the state.
If you
Okay.
want to go to the next slide.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
All right, yeah, so
Yeah,
I am
okay,
meeting with the select board on the 3rd, so we'll probably get comments from them as well.
Yeah.
And so we'll collect them from you, and we'll update the draft, and then we submit it to DCS for review.
So I guess we would probably, if any of the members of the commission had anything, they'd submit it to you probably through an email?
Yep.
Then you send it over?
Yep.
Okay.
And then consider if you'd like to provide a letter of support to submit
Which I
with
can
the
draft.
application.
Gotcha.
Or, I'm sorry, with the submission of the draft, or the plan.
Okay,
Great.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you.
you so much.
Thank you very much, it was a great job.
great job. Thank you.
All right, the next item that's up is looking for a continuance, 660 Great Pond Road, Rolling Ridge, request to continue to 3/12/25.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Small projects, NACC number 342, 71 Peachtree Lane. Deckett, I believe, is the applicant. It sounds like Deckett is the applicant. Okay. Are you Deckett? Okay. You the homeowner? So I'll tell you what we'll do. Let Amy present it for you, and then if there are any questions, we'll ask you, unless you want to talk, but you don't have to. Okay. All right, thank you.
So this project entails in-kind replacement of an existing rear deck off the rear of the house. It's a second-story deck. It's 12 by 14, and it is approximately 55 feet from the BBW. New helical pile footings will be installed. The old footings will be cut below grade, and then helical piles will be installed to come up to code. A dumpster will be on site to accept the demo materials. This is really straightforward, in kind. We have an as-built plan from when that subdivision would make a recommendation that the commission find that this qualifies as a Category B, in-kind replacement of lawfully existing decks regardless of size, and then vote to approve the project as presented. And I suggested some conditions that include installation of erosion controls to be staked at the limit of the 50. Pre-construction site visit with myself and the contractor to review the erosion controls and the scope of work. And then a post-construction visit with conservation staff to verify and approve removal of, verify compliance and approve removal of erosion controls.
Okay. Brad, we'll start with you.
All set.
All set.
All set.
All set, thank you.
No questions. Oh, actually, I do. The 55-foot setback, that's to a particular flag.
Yeah,
correct?
that's the,
Yeah,
where the.
332.
Yeah, it
Okay.
bumps up a little bit.
Has that been verified in the field by our folks?
We've been out there, not too long ago, and, the wetland, there's a slope, it's very topographically controlled, so that still holds in terms of, because it slopes down and would climb up, so, yes. That measurement is still valid.
That's my only question.
Is that off-site, that flag?
Just off-site, I mean, the
Is it-
wetland is like kissing the back of the,
Is that on the side hill that is next to the farmhouse, the old
I
farmhouse?
think so, yes.
So it's,
Yeah, it is on that side.
so there is a, if it's the one I'm thinking of, along that fence, there is or should be a culvert, if you will, or a point source, where the water is discharged down that side slope into the wetland at the bottom of the hill, if I'm thinking of the spot.
Do you mean further up in the road, or,
If,
I don't think.
best way I can describe it, because the house looks familiar to me, the best way I can describe it is, if you're coming down Ray Street, it's just before the big white farmhouse, there's a side slope hayfield on the back,
Yeah,
and Peachtree Road is up top, and the houses are right on the boundary, and there is a, if I have the location correct, which it's possible I could have it wrong, but there is a large stormwater structure.
oh, I think that's further, closest to the mouth of Peachtree.
Closer to the mouth.
Yes,
You
and
go-
this is further into the subdivision, this particular lot.
Okay, so that, as Jack asked you, that flag is okay?
Yes,
That
that's
flag
the
is current,
BBW.
hasn't changed?
That's, yes,
Because this place was built in 2003.
yeah. That edge of wetland still holds because of the slope,
Because of the slope.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Sean?
I do not have any questions.
David?
I'm good.
All right, so I need two motions. I need one motion to make a finding that this qualifies as a Category B.
So moved.
Motion NA, second. All those in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. So we find that it does qualify as a B. And then we have a second motion to approve the project as presented with the conditions as drafted.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? None. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's unanimous. You're all set. You didn't have to say, you didn't have to talk, you have to do anything.
So I'll prepare that permit probably either late this week or early next, and we can go from there. Thank you, thanks for coming.
Okay, next item, another small project, NACC number 343, 314 Salem Street. I guess we'll have Amy put this one in too.
Alrighty. So, this project entails the construction of a front farmer's porch, dimensions of 6 by 30, so a total of 180 square feet. The porch will be 90.1 feet from the bordering vegetated wetland. All work will be accomplished manually and materials stored in the driveway. Silt sock is offered in the narrative, and I would assist in determining where that should go, because the front yard kind of slopes towards the wetland a bit, so, just kind of trying to figure out, obviously staying outside the 50, but figure out how much room they really need to get back and forth, but, let's see. So that's it in a nutshell.
Okay, let me go
Okay.
down. Brad, you're up, kid.
There's some fun property lines on this one, aren't there? No, I'm not set. I don't see anything exciting here.
Okay. Marissa?
What was is the porch open underneath it, or?
Is it in here? Why don't you guys come up, or whoever.
Just either have a seat or you can go to the podium, just tell us who you are and fire at will.
My name's Jonathan Salmon, the general contractor. It is open. There'll be railings on the front edge of the porch facing towards the street. And the entrance to and from the porch will be on the side where the existing driveway is.
So it'll be like crushed stone underneath it?
Correct.
I'm all set.
I'm all set, thank you.
No questions. Sean?
Amy, why isn't this an A?
A what?
Subsection A, deck
Oh.
without roofs is because of the roof?
Oh, I guess the word porch threw me off.
This is a farmer's porch, so it does have a roof, right?
It will have a roof.
It has a roof.
I don't have any.
Yeah.
David, any questions?
Probably demonstrating a little ignorance here, but what's the difference between the silt sock and the straw?
Okay, so, silt sock is bark mulch filled,
Good.
and it's heavy, and it, you just plop it down. And the straw wattle is lighter, easier to, maneuver.
I guess what I'm asking is, if we put the straw wattle in the vote, do you get what I'm trying to ask? So up above, it says they're offering to put in a silt sock, and you're saying they'll do.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was my
But then
fault.
the erosion
You're right.
control in the recommendation. I just want to make sure we're
No,
consistent.
I think I borrowed that from another recommendation, but you're right, we can do an 8-inch silt sock,
Okay.
considering there's a bit of a slope. It's not horrible, but I can pull up.
No, I just wanted to make,
No, thank you for catching that. No, yeah,
I didn't know if we wanted them to do both.
yeah. See, there's just a little bit of a slope, so I think the mulch sock makes more sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for
All
explaining.
right, so you're gonna amend your recommendation.
Okay.
That is a good amendment.
Good catch, thanks.
Any other recommendations or comments? Any?
So, I guess this is an L after all. Other projects similar in scope. So find that, make that finding, and then vote to approve the project as presented. And then with erosion controls, 8-inch mulch stock to be installed, as determined by staff in the field, a pre-construction with the contractor and myself just to go over and inspect that, and then a post-construction site visit to verify compliance and improving the whole erosion controls.
Okay, so again, for this filing, we need two motions. The first one has to qualify it into the category where it belongs.
Looks like an L.
Motion and a
Second.
motion and a second discussion. None, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's unanimous. We find it as a category L, and now we have to vote for the conditions and whether to approve.
I propose that we approve the conditions articulated by our administrator.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? None, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's unanimous. You're all set, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. And I'll have the permit probably ready next week.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, certificates of compliance, 242-1045, a partial COC request for 430 Osgood Street, North Andover High School, North Andover Public Schools, continued from 2/12/25.
And we'll need to continue again to the March 12th meeting. I am working on the comparison, so I have software and the CAD file to overlaid, so I just haven't had time to delve into it.
Not a problem. So we'd just like to know, we love progress updates.
Yeah,
So your progress update is you're working with the CAD program?
yep. Yep.
Okay. Let me see if there's anybody that's got any question. Anybody have any questions for Amy on this?
So you're going into the survey and figuring out where
Well-
any violations are, it's
So-
on you now?
Yeah, DBW set me up with the CAD, imported it.
Okay.
They actually went out to the site to do some shots as well to make sure they're lined up.
Okay,
Yep,
sounds good.
thanks.
Any questions?
For me, thank you.
No questions.
You're getting whatever imaging and diagrams that are out there that you think you need
Yep.
to
To make that,
evaluate.
yep.
All right, so request, sounds like there's a request to continue to the next meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's unanimous. High school is continued without incident.
Brad.
You good?
I guess so, yeah.
All right.
I'm out here on my island, I guess I don't like it.
We have a technical producer here that can make sure you're heard. All right, 242-1792 Andover Street, Stevens Coolidge Place, trustees of reservations, looking for a COC.
Alrighty. Okay. So this project, this order was issued in October of 2020, and it had a few different elements to it. I'll start with the building at 113 and 115 Andover Street. And that's work in the buffer zone, and originally expanded the gravel access around the maintenance area, install a 4-bay concrete compost stalls and concrete pad, install a freestanding poly shed for housing equipment, and installing dumpsters on a concrete pad. In that area as well, ash tree management was proposed, as the emerald ash borer was infesting most of those. Removing a historic compost stockpile area next to wetland flag A17, and then restoring that area. Through an administrative approval with the chairman, the gravel area was greatly reduced. The compost bins went away, the dumpster went away. They eliminated that from the project scope. So since it was a shrinkage in the scope, the chairman at the time reviewed it and approved it administratively. So that really, kind of wasn't so intensely used, basically. So, so that was that. And then, second part of the project involved work within an isolated vegetated wetland and its surrounding buffer zone, and deepening an existing pond. It's very, very small pond, little wildlife pond. And it basically restoring the vegetated wetland that was actually mowed for pretty much, and they proposed to replant almost the entirety of it, and installing a boardwalk through it to provide some interaction with visitors with that new habitat. Modifying the pond outlet and constructing an emergency spillway with a stone trench. Restoring the, let's see, it said the isolated wetland that was mowed, now it's a wet meadow. Constructing a bog bridge, I already said that. Improving the greenhouse foundation drain by redirecting the discharge of the groundwater from the sump to a constructed stone-lined swale vegetated with plantings. Creating a turnaround within the existing driveway access. Remove section of gravel drive and build a new gravel offshoot off the access drive. Installation of a 4,000 square foot cutting garden. Performing selective tree removal and integrated pest management for hemlock tree stand. that had elongated hemlock scale and the woolly adelgid infestation. Installing interpretive natural history and educational signage and associated programming. Throughout the project, Taylor, our former field inspector, and I visited the project off and on during construction. The work progressed nicely. Their wetland consultant was on board for both monitoring and overseeing the restoration effort and, you know, inspecting the plants and directing where plants should go, and they're monitoring on that. Josh, with trustees, who is with us this evening, he was also intimately involved with all aspects of the project. So he was hands-on the whole time. I performed a final inspection this past fall, very late fall, and found all the areas to be stabilized and in substantial compliance. Aside from the deviations that the certifying engineer detailed in his letter, however, they were relatively minor comparatively. And a lot of things were, you know, reduced or shrunk in size for like the gravel turnarounds and things like that. Josh provided a final report on the IVW and pond restoration effort. Survivor rates were reached and robust growth is very evident out there. And then signage and educational program was provided in your package as well. So that's it. I would recommend issuing a full and complete certificate of compliance with ongoing conditions as prescribed in the order. And Josh and Adam are with the trustees, and if you have any questions for them.
Okay. Brad, we'll start with you.
The relocated outfall from the approved plan, I assume you've looked at it and it's stable and everything's great?
Yeah, and it was
Okay.
out of the 25, so.
I've got nothing. Looks like you guys did great work.
Thank you. Bruce?
Yeah, I don't have any questions, I just have a comment that I need to go out there and look at this, because this pictures look
Really,
great.
yeah. Really cool.
Agree, and no questions or comments, other comments?
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same question Brad asked about that. There was a change in the project. I remember it was a detention pond which changed into a retention pond, I believe, up by Chickering Road.
That was actually a separate project.
That was?
Yeah, it was the access drive was a totally separate notice of intent. Yep.
Okay, then I have no questions on this one. That's good.
I don't have any questions either.
David? Your recommendation is
Issue
pretty
a
easy
full-
to understand, so I'm looking for a motion.
I move that we grant the COC for 242-1792,
Second.
137, 113 through 115 Andover Street, sorry.
Motion and a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. You're all set, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Amy, thanks for all your help with the project too. Yeah.
Good job.
Okay, next item on the agenda is a request for determination of applicability for 790 Dale Street. I'm guessing Amy's gonna put this in?
Yeah. Alrighty. So this project entails removal of a cluster of hemlock trees that are fully infested with the woolly adelgid and are starting to decline. The closest tree is about 28 feet from the bordering vegetated wetland that is associated with an intermittent stream, which daylights from a drain pipe. Another aspect of the project includes installation of shed or sheds. And it's either going to be 2 8x8 sheds or 1 8x16 shed. The applicant would like it for it to be closer to the property line. The larger shed would need zoning relief, so he wanted to keep his options open. And depending on how his conversation or the process goes with the building inspector with the zoning question. He wanted to either do the 8x16, if you could get the relief, or stick with the two 8x8 side-by-side sheds. And those, no matter which shed option we're talking about, will be outside the 50-foot no-build zone. Applicant is here this evening if you have any questions for him, but that's the project.
Let's see how it goes here.
It never occurred to me you could get around the 64-foot one by putting two sheds side by side.
Yeah, I checked with the building inspector, and
That's
said
not my
yes,
purview
that's-
anyway, so. You're outside the 50, I'm all set.
Is there any mitigation proposed for the impervious area?
Was crushed stone proposed? around, or-
The shed company wants to put some base of stone
Could you,
down.
could you speak into the microphone, please?
Either one.
Thank you.
Hi, Carl Wickhart, 790 Dale. The shed company recommends a foundation of crushed stone at the site so that they can put the sheds directly onto there with a footing of some sort.
Okay.
If you tell me what type of stone you would prefer?
Sure, so I think what we've required on other projects, and defer to other members of the commission as well, is to kind of a trench or something to mitigate for the roof area so that it has a place to flow to. But I guess we can continue on to other members.
It's a drip edge for the roof or something?
What's that?
You talking about a drip edge for the roof?
Yeah, just some type of infiltration area. I know we've required it on like pools
Mhm.
of similar impervious area, so,
But you're thinking of roof runoff in this one?
yeah.
Okay. So
It doesn't need to be piped or anything, but just,
Maybe a
drip
crushed
edge or
stone
something, yeah.
apron around
An
the
apron.
sheds.
yeah.
Well, if we put a large enough crushed stone base,
Yeah, you'll
then
have,
the shed is sitting or sheds are sitting on it.
Yep.
That would provide for so put a larger crushed stone area. So then I would have to inquire, is the crushed stone at the 50-foot or within or out, further outside of it?
Usually just 24 inches from the base of the shed. If you
Right,
give us
but
that,
if
and
we're
that's crushed
saying
stone.
the shed is, let's say, 50 feet outside, and we're saying, okay, we're gonna put the shed 50 feet outside, but then you want the crushed stone outside of that, that brings the crushed stone at, let's say, 48 feet.
So I think there's two different types of crushed stone. The crushed stone for the shed to sit on will be a compactable material. What I would recommend is a drip edge with a stone that has some voids to allow the roof to drain into it. So my question, I understand your question about the 50-foot. My question would be, which way is the roof pitched? Because we want it to be on the side, if it's pitched on two sides, we want it to be on those two sides so that it's installed for a purpose.
No, okay.
But I think crushed stone in the 50 is not a problem. It's the structure that we don't want in the 50.
we don't want the structure.
Right,
It appears like he has plenty of room to not put the structure there.
absolutely. Yes.
So, I mean, if you can keep everything out of the 50,
Oh, I can keep, and in
That
fact,
would be
thinking about how the shed will
Just-
be sloped,
Yeah.
it will not go towards the 50, it would go towards either the center
I mean,
of the backyard.
give yourself an extra foot.
Yeah.
You clearly have enough room. You're not in trouble there, so.
No, perfectly fine.
Make more room. Or stay away from the line.
Well, since we weren't able to do the cutting of the base of the trees, it forces us even further away from the line because it's just
Yeah.
totally
Yeah,
uneven.
we want
Gotcha,
flush cut,
Gotcha.
so-
Let me move back down here. Any questions?
Nothing additional for me.
Were you set? or-
Yep, I'm all
Okay.
set.
I'm all set.
Sean?
Just a comment. on that diagram up there, you know, the little bubble says sheds not to be less than 50 feet from the wetland. You know, it's really just, sheds should be 50 feet or greater away
greater.
from the wetland. It's just
Okay,
an
that's
odd
a
wording
word.
there,
Okay,
but just so it's clear to
Yep.
everybody. Yeah.
yep.
I guess just for my own information, I assume we don't want the stumps ground because it helps keep the soil in place?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Less disturbance. and-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I'm just recommending that you close the hearing and issue a negative number 3 determination with conditions that speak to hemlock stumps being flush cut and not disturbed. We can add crushed stone perimeter for drip edge. Pre-construction site inspection to be held with staff and the shed installation company to make sure we're all on the same page, and then post-construction to inspect to verify compliance.
And just so the record's clear, there's no waiver asked for or intended in this project?
No.
No waiver, okay.
And because it sounds like it is getting so close to 50, if you could just make sure that's staked so that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the reason that I want to be
Have
on
that in
site
there.
with them, yeah.
I'd like to move that proposal.
I have a motion and a,
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. You're all set, sir.
Thank you.
So I'll get the permit to you next week at some point, and we can. Yeah, snow on the ground.
Ms. Maxner and her, I'm sorry, Ms. Maxner and her staff have been extremely helpful during this process, as it's slightly confusing for me.
We like to hear that, thank you.
Thanks.
We're not gonna give her any more money, but it's nice to, nice to hear. All right, we're gonna go to notices of intent, 242 XXXX 94 Morningside Lane, Strapoli. Request to continue to 3/12/25.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, and that's unanimous. And while we're at it, 242-1907, Route 114 right-of-way, request to continue to 3/12/25.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
Continue to, right?
And notice of intent for North Andover High School. Are we,
Yeah.
we're gonna continue that as well,
Well,
since
we have some update,
we have updates?
just, yeah, we have the project engineer with us. He just kind of wanted to check in and give us an
Gotcha.
update on progress.
I wondered why you were sitting back there. All right, we don't charge for entertainment, I figure that's why you were here. 242-1906, 430 Osgood Street, North Andover High School. Gale Associates, I assume.
Yes.
Yes. All right, one second here.
Kyle Rowan with Gale Associates.
Shall I get started, or, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I guess just as a real quick overview, we received our first comment letter from the town's third-party peer review for stormwater. We got that last Friday. They're working on responses. They're working on responses to my initial list of questions, the commission's follow-up questions. And let's see. One item of discussion that does need to be brought to the table involves the gravel access drive up to Walsh Stadium. But I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to add before we launched into that.
Yeah, I can kind of go through a little narrative
Okay,
here, if
go
that's
right
okay.
ahead. Yep.
Great, appreciate it. So again, for the record, my name is Kyle Rowan. I'm a project manager with Gale Associates. We're here on behalf of the town of North Andover and North Andover Public Schools regarding the athletic improvements project at 430 Osgood. We are not anticipating a determination tonight, obviously, but we're glad to hear that this commission appreciates updates, because that's precisely why we're here. For that reason, I'll try not to take up too much of your time. Given that this application, this NOI, and the previously continued partial certificate of compliance are so inextricably linked, if I can just briefly touch on that, which we were kind of getting to with the shed just then. Some updates on that are, which have mostly been touched on by Administrator Maxner, is the primary missing item from the actual checklist for the partial certificate of compliance as of the last time we met was a letter from a professional engineer or professional land surveyor certifying compliance with the original order of conditions. So as Administrator Maxner alluded to, herself and the town are working on getting that together. We are hoping to have that in time for submission by March 5th, which will be 7 days prior to the next Conservation Commission hearing on the 12th. Other items that we had discussed relative to the partial certificate of compliance, again, this was what came up in discussions at our last hearing, was the operation and maintenance logs of the school property associated with the original order. We are anticipating documentation from the high school specific to that. Our understanding is they subcontract this effort out to a third party, so they're trying to track down records of that, and hopefully we have that in time to submit. And then the other two items, from our understanding, were primarily the existing shed just outside of the 50-foot buffer zone, as well as the gravel drive and parking area south of the baseball field and adjacent to the bordering vegetated wetland. So with respect to the shed, what we are proposing right now and what will be in our revised plans as well as our narrative response is that relocation of that shed. So picking it up from its current location and moving it north between the two fields far outside of the 100-foot buffer zone will be a part of our project scope for the upcoming project that's associated with the notice of intent. With respect to the gravel drive, there is a bit of an update on that, which is that, as you all know, we submitted this project for limited site plan review with the planning board. As part of that process, we get comments from municipal agencies like the fire department, so on and so forth. Specific to the fire department, we got a comment from them stating that they need to maintain access to the southeast corner of the two football fields, Walsh Stadium, which is that gravel drive that exists today. So they need to maintain that access for emergency access to the fields, getting an ambulance on there, fire truck, anything like that. So what we're proposing right now, our initial thought, and this is obviously up to the commission, and hopefully we can find a path forward here, is we loam and seed a majority of what is now gravel, and as you can see in this aerial, and all we leave is a 10-foot wide gravel drive directly from the existing curb cut in the access drive up to the corner of Walsh Field. Again, loaming and seeding everything on either side, and we will also install a vehicle gate at the access drive as well as signage clarifying that this is emergency access only, and therefore informing the public that this is no longer a parking area. So that is our initial thought as to how to both meet the fire department's request that access be maintained, but also address the fact that this gravel drive, from our understanding, was not installed with any permitting to back it up over time.
So my thought would be, if that's going to be considered a public safety access road, which it sounds like that's what you're saying, would it require a waiver request stating the same in order to memorialize and hold down the conditions for that? Because I get it, they want to be able to get an ambulance in, I understand that. It sounds like a perfectly approvable waiver to me, however, there are 7 that vote. And I don't, unless you have an alternative that you can offer that would mitigate a waiver.
So I actually have a quick little sketch I can pull up that shows sort of the path of this drive, if you want me to do that quickly.
Yes.
Could you just answer one question? What's the distance from wetland?
I can show that on the sketch, but it's,
You can show it on the sketch, but right now, part of the gravel drive is in the 25, or the park, yeah.
Yeah, see, to discuss in that, Amy, what makes that very significant is the plan to exclude non-emergency vehicles.
Oh, yeah.
That's gonna have to
That would be
be,
integral.
that's gonna take more than just a sign that says, don't come in here.
like a gate,
I think he said,
Physical.
put a gate up there.
Yeah, it's gonna require a gate, at the very minimum, a gate, and.
Yes, yes, we will certainly put a gate there. So this, what you're looking at here is actually the sketch that we got from the fire department accompanying their response that they needed to maintain this access. And I will pull up what we have for a sketch here and kind of zoom in on this. So it has the aerial underlay behind it. You can see right down here, this is the existing curb cut in the access drive. So we're proposing to put, you know, a standard 3-foot swing gate, vehicle gate in this location. We'll put signage on either side, emergency access only, no parking, so on and so forth. And then in terms of the path of the actual drive, the most direct route would just be to run it straight through, kind of as close to the back of the baseball field as we can, and into Walsh Field. And for reference, right down here, I know it's really hard to see with the color contrast on here, this portion will fall within the 50-foot buffer, but once you get to right here, this drive would be outside of the buffer and it would remain out of the 50-foot for that entire run. And again, we could loam and seed everything back here that you see is gravel. We're removing this baseball backstop as well as the dugouts. So the majority of this area will be returned to loam and seed. We could even make this a no-mow area to the southeast of this drive. But that is more or less what we're proposing right now.
The emergency access vehicle turnaround, are we assuming they can just turn around on the turf field?
Yes, that's
Okay.
what they do.
Okay.
Yep. And in terms of this other field, just for reference, the proposed one up here, this is our emergency vehicle access to that field, which has been formally approved by the fire department as part of their response.
Okay, and so since the road's going, I guess, not in the same location, we're gonna have to kind of dig down and improve that area as well for the road bed. Are we, you said 10 foot, is that gonna be sufficient for North Andover?
Yeah,
It is? Okay.
yeah. The important part is the inside turning radius.
Yeah.
Which we'll confirm this, but 9 times out of 10, that's a 25-foot inside turning radius, which this sketch you see here, which is very rudimentary, and just to start the conversation, that is meeting that minimum.
Okay, good. All right, so I guess for the other board members, you know, gravel is going to be the cheapest and easiest way to do this. I've also seen like a geogrid composite get put down where it's also going to stay a grassed area on top of it. I think in this case, with they're mostly staying out of the 50, I can support the gravel path for the road.
With
But
limited access, with that they're proposing with the gate, that it makes it more palatable, but let's see if anybody else agrees with you or not. Marissa?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have mixed reviews on, like, turf, concrete and stuff like that for access for fire trucks. So I think I would be okay with the gravel. I guess my thought would be, I know that the plan is to reestablish, sorry, I'm looking down there. The plan is to reestablish the areas to the left and the right of that. But extending the fence so that, because people will do whatever they can to kind of just drive around a gate. So if it's just gated at the gravel, you know, somebody's gonna drive over the new grass, and because they always park there and ignore signs, so, I guess that would be something I would want considered.
Yeah, there is curbing along that side of the road, and that gate we're showing there is at an existing curb cut, which is the primary reason we're showing the entrance where it is, but we could look at something like timber guardrail, just a 24-inch tall, so it's impossible to get your car on there. And then once you make your way further up the drive, this starts to get rather steep.
Yep.
So that does the job for us.
Yeah, and mostly on the, I'd say the wetland side, just to, you know, maintain that area. I guess I did have some other comments, but I'll let everybody else talk about the access first.
I agree with what's been said, so no further comments or questions from me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think what you've got is conceptually great and actually better than I thought we were going to get tonight. So good for that. You know, what we're looking for, you know, eventually to approve the notice of intent is a plan showing setbacks, edges of the road, and, you know, define it dimensionally on the plan so that you know it works, and we know it works for us. It almost sounds like if you are just barely inside the 50-foot in a short section of that road, I'm not sure an alternatives analysis would even be required if you're able to do that, which it looks like you're able to do.
Yep.
And you know, you do have that turn there at the bottom, and if you could move that up toward the right of the sheet, I guess.
Like move this
Yeah,
up
yeah,
this
move
way?
it up, move it up there. I mean, you could probably be outside the 50 entirely. I don't know. 'cause
No,
don't have the
we
set-
can just do that. There's actually, you know, financially, it's not like we're saving that much just by using the existing curb cut. So there's no
Yeah.
reason we can't just reconstruct this portion of the sidewalk, shift the curb cut up here, and then we're out of the 50 all the way through.
I think that might be our best approach, and actually to sort of add to Marissa's point about the parking and, you know, preventing people from going over, the best way to do that is to give them parking spots on the upland side of that road. So, you know, and you mentioned there's some grades, it might be a little bit might be a little bit challenging, but I think that would help the project, and I think it would help compliance quite a bit.
Where are you adding parking, John?
What?
Where are you adding parking right now?
Well, okay, you see these parked cars here?
Uh-huh.
Okay, if you could maybe go into there.
He wants to move it up the hill.
You see, we want to eliminate these cars from being in a bad spot. If we have a spot for them, people will park there.
But nobody's supposed to park down there, like 0 people.
I know, I'm trying to
Now
make it
you're gonna let,
easier
like,
for
8 people do
everything.
it?
What?
Now you're gonna let like 8 people do it?
No, we want to eliminate these cars, and that's
Yeah,
gonna.
we're gonna
that's
do that. We're gonna eliminate all of them.
No, well, we don't have to. I mean, if,
Well, if they
he can design his project, I'm just making a suggestion.
I was just gonna say, let us
Yeah.
not get into the design business here. We're into fact-finding. Mr. Gale's into design, and
But if you can find parking outside the 50, that's kind of what
we're
I
not,
told our
so we're not
athletics
opposed to it, but
Right.
we're gonna let them do that.
Yeah,
Get it.
yeah.
Anything
It's-
outside of the
But it would
50,
be out of the 50.
That would have to be head-in parking on the access road, though. Because
It
you're not
would
gonna
be
do parking
difficult.
Yeah, I
off of the
understand what you're
emergency
saying,
road.
Yeah.
No.
I can just jump in and say it's probably not a consideration, unless we were directed to. I think really the idea is we are eliminating that parking, and people are gonna have to park up at the main parking lot and walk down to the tennis courts.
and that's, we're happy with that. We're
Great.
not gonna push a design build on you.
I'm all set.
Any question? I'll start down here. Sean?
I think it's great if you can get that whole access road outside the 50. It sounds like you can do that. Amy, is there any debris going into that wetland down there? And would there be any benefit to some kind of fencing along that line to help protect that wetland?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, trash management is always an issue. So from that perspective,
But access to control the trash is almost impossible once you get past a certain point.
true.
It's heavily beaver infested,
Yeah,
very wet, very deep.
Right.
You could see trash, but you just can't get to it.
right,
Right, but if you put a fence on the upland side of that,
right.
you
Maybe,
can prevent the trash from going in there in the
Yeah.
future.
maybe, yeah, you're right, maybe,
That's fine.
maybe.
My thought is just to
Yeah.
to protect it in that way.
Right.
That's one thought I would propose.
Okay. Noted.
Dave?
That seems pretty reasonable, so I don't have any questions.
Okay,
All right, Amy, I can give this
Oh,
back to you.
okay.
I'll,
But Marissa, did you have a couple follow-ups?
Well, I did,
sorry.
and you can let me know if it's the, like, right meeting to tell it. I missed the last meeting, and I just watched the tape, so everything's fresh in my mind. And, I didn't know if you wanted me to go through comments I had from the last meeting, or wait till the
Yeah.
next.
Oh, yeah, no,
Okay.
let's get them on the, I think, anyway.
So, the new turf field is over the existing detention system.
Correct.
Are there access manholes, and how is that gonna be maintained? And you don't have to answer this tonight, it's just something to think about.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I can at least provide a unofficial answer tonight.
Sure.
We can add this as an answer in writing to the forthcoming narrative response document. But yes, there is an existing detention galley under the field. Obviously, it currently exists there under the existing baseball field. There are 4 inspection ports to that galley, all of which are at least 12 inches below finished grade, so the actual grass playing surface of the field. In terms of our proposed condition, the new turf field is more or less going to be at the same grade as the existing natural grass field. So we will be above those inspection ports. What we're proposing is we're going to raise the rims, and then the surface of that structure, so the actual rim of the ports, will be just below the shock pad, below the turf surfacing. So yes, it will be under turf, but it will be technically accessible if needed. But I guess my point is it's not currently accessible, and as far as we can tell, no one's looked in that for 20 years.
Yeah, I guess technically it's supposed to be maintained and checked
Yeah.
multiple times a year. I think it would be, I know that it probably hasn't been looked at in 20 years, but it's probably not even gonna be looked at more if there's a turf field that needs to be cut.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
No, thank you. And so, just consideration for how to maintain that.
Yeah, certainly, and one thing I do want to add on that note is, as a part of our proposed bidding documents, contract documents, we are going to require the contractor, when they strip the topsoil off of the existing field, they're going to need to uncover that entire structure, inspect and clean that structure, as well as the outflow pipes as part of this project. So we're getting an opportunity to really get a good look at it as part of the proposed scope, and then yes, it will ultimately be beneath the turf, but it will remain accessible via cutting the turf, and unfortunately that's the best we can do without moving the entire structure, which we don't want to do.
Yeah. Okay, I guess I would recommend kind of looking at alternatives, because I think that's, well, it's great that the contract, that everything's gonna be inspected to kind of put a system over it. It's burying something that is never gonna have access to it, so that would be a challenge, I think. And then, is there, I didn't look, but I know we were talking about the access road, and I just wanted to confirm that that is considered impervious in the stormwater model.
Gravel is, yes.
Okay, so that's how it's currently.
Yeah, I mean, that area really is, it's within our watershed for our existing, conditions, stormwater analysis, and it is gravel, so it's treated as impervious, and the proposed conditions will, if we're able to move forward with what we just talked about, would be that 10-foot access drive, and then loam and seed, also impervious on both sides of that.
So I would say that the existing is not impervious, because that was never part of the original stormwater design. So existing should be grass, and proposed should be, and so that should be new impervious area.
The gravel drive should be treated as impervious?
Yeah, because it was never part of the previous order of conditions.
Okay.
But again,
Don't get credit for the deviation.
yeah, don't get credit for something that was never part of the original design.
Solid.
And then the tennis courts are being replaced in kind, so I think that was pretty straightforward. The turf fields, that's all modeled as pervious?
Impervious. Actually, it is,
Okay.
yeah. And
Perfect.
really, what it acts as it's a detention system, more or less. The intent is for more or less all of the stormwater that lands on that field to infiltrate beneath the field, except in, 100-year rain events.
Excellent. Okay. That's all of my questions. Thank you.
Thanks.
How did you feel about the drip edge idea on the tennis courts? Do you support that?
Adding one in?
Yeah. Because it goes outside of the previous disturbance area, but it seemed like a better product in the end.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could go either way, whether if it's more disturbance, is it doing more?
The original plan was to not have it, but John and I last meeting were like, let's add that in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always beneficial. I don't think it's it's not gonna cause a huge disturbance, like just 2 feet, so.
So I have a quick question, just came to mind that, so we're gonna restore, a large part of that gravel area. I think we need some narrative on how we do that, because we don't just wanna leave the gravel there and put loam over it, because it would still be crappy underneath, right? So, I envision we're gonna have to look at some excavation of that material out of there.
Well, a restoration
To
plan. I
replace
think what we
it,
want to give
right.
us is a restoration plan. How do you propose to restore it
Right.
as best can be
Yeah,
done?
like, so the contractor understands what needs to get done
But,
to
I mean,
make it
a
real.
restoration plan
a
is
real
best because that can be
restoration.
annexed right to the order of conditions.
Yep,
Yeah.
understood.
Good catch, good catch. Anything else, anybody? All right, so,
I can continue a little bit if that's okay. Again, I didn't mean to take up too much of your time, but
No,
we have
that's all
5
right.
more
Or if you
minutes.
got more to go?
Just a little bit. So we kind of touched on the gravel in the shed. That's pertinent to the partial certificate of compliance as well. But jumping over to the actual notice of intent application, just to provide an update. So we have a draft response together, a draft response narrative to Administrator Maxner's written inquiries from the other week, as well as Commissioner Lynch's inquiries from, I believe, the 13th of February, as well as directives and comments we received in this meeting on February 12th. So you can anticipate receipt of that narrative by March 5th, which is 7 days prior, business days prior to the next hearing. And in addition to the written responses, that narrative and package will include revised plans and specifications in accordance with our responses. We are also expecting to receive the final full copy of the geotechnical report, which includes the 18 borings around the campus, which were previously not accounted for yet, just by not being complete. But we should receive that by Friday, February 28th, so that will be in the package. As Administrator Maxner touched on, we did receive our first round of third-party stormwater review comments on Friday the 21st. We probably won't have those comments addressed in time for including them in this package, but once we do that and submit those to the planning board, we will include this commission on that submission. Last thing I want to note in terms of what you all will be seeing from us in that submission is one of Commissioner Lynch's questions from the other week was requesting that we provide documentation on water quality and ecological impacts specific to synthetic turf fields and specific to SPR crumb rubber, which are the systems that are proposed here. So we will be including in that package what we feel is a very pertinent study from the EPA that just concluded in April 2024. It was a 5-year-long study specific to SPR crumb rubber infill and use in synthetic turf fields and impact on player safety. So we'll be including that, as well as 2 separate third-party toxicologist and risk assessor memorandums that we have received over time, by doing these projects effectively. One speaks more specifically to PFAS and general chemicals in the synthetic turf product itself, and the other is more focused on, again, synthetic turf with SBR infill, with a stronger focus on player health and the environment. So we feel these are all very informative documents. I think the EPA is as third party as it gets, far removed from all this. So we will not voice our opinion of the documents, but we'll provide them in our response letter for you to review. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, we have draft responses to the questions that we've received to date. If you have any of those you want to talk about today, we can, but figure me actually reading through all those would take way too long. So
I'm sure if there's anything else that comes up, we'll get it to you through Amy.
Just one question for
Yeah,
tonight.
Go ahead. Yep.
About the field turf product, you know, I mean, I can't wait to see the analysis from EPA and other studies, but do you know if it addresses the migration of the crumb rubber from the field into surrounding areas?
the EPA study does
They do
focus on that. Actually, that and one of the memorandums, I don't have them up in front of me, but
That was one of the points that I think was especially sensitive to Commissioner Lynch when he did that. So I'd like to, I'll be paying attention to that one, so.
understood.
Anything else, guys, for now? Sounds like nothing else right now.
Nope, just an update.
So we'll continue to the next meeting?
Yes.
So moved.
Second?
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that is unanimous.
All right,
See
thank
you
you,
in 2
Chair.
weeks.
Thank you,
Thanks, Kyle.
Commissioners.
This was worth it.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, we're at the enforcement order end.
Can we skip to 30 Ann and then we'll circle back to North Ramp?
Yeah, we go right to 30 Ann, absolutely. 30 Ann Road, 2421878.
All right, I'll just give a quick overview of what the project entailed. So the order of conditions was issued in May of 2024, and it governs abandonment of an existing subsurface septic system and construction of a force main sewer connection to replace the current failed system. The proposed sewer line will consist of a duplex grinder pump and pushes effluent through a 2-inch force main to the existing sewer manhole located at the end of the Ann Road cul-de-sac. The proposed pump grinder is approximately 86 feet from the BVW. Work at its closest point was to occur between 2 wetland boundaries that is on either side of the driveway, which was shared in sections. And it was going to be interacting over an existing culvert. We issued the order in May. I had emailed the scanned version to the applicant and his engineer. The original was sent by certified mail. It got returned to us. It sat in our desk for a little while, and then the applicant came and picked it up and did record it at that time. In our email exchange, the applicant did, acknowledge the electronic version, stating that he did review it and that work was not starting at that point. This past Monday, it came to my attention that the house was on the market and the building inspectors became aware of some interior work that was not permitted, including some heating systems. And the siding and the roof did get permits with the building department. And there was some inspection for that, and our local building inspector mentioned that he thought maybe there was some deck work that was done that didn't get permitted. So that just prompted me to just take a look on the aerial photos from the past year, and found that on the August 2024 aerial, it showed that work on the sewer pipe was undertaken or in the midst of being undertaken. So at that point, I promptly emailed the applicant and his engineer to let him know that there was a violation because none of the pre-construction requirements were met aside from recording the order, and I did see erosion control in the aerial, but other than that, I was not called for pre-construction meeting or anything like that. So, so that's where we're at. I can pull up the aerial just to give you a feel for what we're looking at. So you can see the erosion control, and you can see this line is the sewer trench. Applicant owner is here this evening, but that's,
So I want to ask you first, because
Sure.
I don't want this thing to be dragged out.
mm-hmm.
Do you have an actual action list of items that are not done, that need to be done?
Yes.
To bring it into compliance?
Yes.
Okay. Could you give us that action list?
So it would be addressing all of the remaining pre-construction requirements,
Okay.
even though some of it's after the fact. You know, the commission will make that applicants go through the paces no matter what. We did that with the condo complex off of Route 114 across from Sharp Pond.
So there's some retroactive
So there's.
items that need to be addressed?
Yes, so
Okay.
there's, you know, the posting of the bond, there's engaging a third-party monitor, and all that list of all that pre-construction stuff. And in addition, you know, we need to verify if this was installed correctly and whether the sleeving over the culvert was installed, because that was a big point of discussion and a plan change. And, you know.
So would that be an as-built drawing?
It would be an as-built, but you know, I'm not sure how you get an as-built unless you had x-ray vision
you're
through
looking-
pavement.
You're looking for a drawing that demonstrates some kind of compliance, right?
Right.
So how would that be?
Well, I mean, and this is just me and my idea, is that you re-excavate it up to look at it, so the engineer can get his eyes on it
Okay.
and verify compliance.
Okay.
So you know, I did provide you with some other suggestions, and basically this would culminate in an enforcement order
Okay.
directing these things, and so you can read my.
I see it,
anyway.
yeah, I got the recommendation.
Right.
I just wanted to see if we could. All right, Brad, I'm going to start with you. If-
So Yanar Vidal is here.
Mr. Vidal is here?
So, can I say something for start?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so we got this permit from the commission, right? So, and I read it, basically in part. So I give it to the project manager, and then we
The
have
who?
Huh?
The who?
To the project manager.
The who?
Project manager.
Project manager.
And then we got this from the engineering group, right? So, and also we hired a excavation company, we hired a plumbing company and electricians, and then actually I got this letter from the plumbing guy,
Okay.
and with his license and everything, and then he can assure that everything. He can assure that the connection from the sewer to the town was made correctly.
Okay.
So we got the and also we got the permit from the public works, because we went to the public works to prior to start the work. So the confusion was here that we didn't know that we need to let the commission know prior to start the work. But everything was done how it was supposed to be done. I mean, working wise.
Yeah, so you're supposed to have a pre-construction meeting with Amy at the
Exactly,
job site.
exactly.
You were supposed to post a bond, which I don't know if you posted the bond or not.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
he did not. Not with the Conservation Commission.
Did you post a bond with respect
Performance
to the?
bond.
So what is the bond?
So do you have Does he have an order of conditions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So
he
is
got
it-
it, he got the order of conditions
it-
electronically, and he also got the physical original order of conditions.
So, Mr. Vidal, in the order of conditions, there's a paragraph that tells you how much cash money you're supposed to post.
Oh, the $5,000?
I don't know, I'm asking.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't.
like insurance.
Is it
the
5,000?
bond.
Okay,
Yeah.
so has that been done?
No.
So that,
No, that's
that's one of the issues, I think.
Excuse me.
The what?
Sure.
Esa fue la excavation company, el dinero que le dimos. So ellos tienen que comprar el bond para eso.
Oh, yeah,
And
we did.
insurance.
So I paid to the excavation company,
You paid it to who?
to the excavation company.
So that was supposed to, bond is supposed to be made payable to the town of North Andover, right? Am I right?
Did not happen.
Yeah, but that's what is supposed to happen. Well,
Yeah,
in
we
the order,
pay everything
Amy, in the order of
excuse me.
conditions, this paragraph that deals with the bond, it says a check payable to the town of North Andover in the amount of,
$5,000.
okay, so that would have been a check.
Yeah, excuse me. So we did all payment to the excavation team because we really don't know, like, the whole process. That's why we hire an engineer to do all the work, and he came to the meetings prior to
No,
get
I
this
understand.
approval.
He permitted it.
So,
We get it.
yeah, so that's why we hired them to do everything, and we pay them the money. So, so it's up to them. We didn't have any knowledge about that.
So, I understand what you're telling me, but
Yes.
unfortunately, I think on the permit, is Mr. Vidal's name?
Yes.
Yes.
My name.
Yeah.
You're the applicant, so legally, even if you hire a project manager or a construction manager, and that's a good idea, you're still the person that's ultimately responsible for posting the bond, recording it, doing all the items on the checklist that apparently you haven't completed some of them yet.
So this is the first time that we deal with a conservation.
Right, I get it. So,
So I mean,
Are you working-
I can give you the letter from the.
We can pass around here, you guys can see it.
okay,
And the permit from the town for the plumbing.
Sometimes we don't know, like, if we hire someone and they pull out permit, so it's up to them, and they need to inform us, and they, probably, we didn't get the
So-
proper
So
information.
do you have an engineer that you've hired that can verify that the sewer force main was installed correctly?
So I can, so.
Do you have anything on that, Brad, in those papers?
Este
With
tipo.
this guy,
Sí, este fue.
Plumber says he did it right.
Yeah.
course he does.
A él fue que nosotros le dimos. Yeah.
So is that,
Yeah, this is the person
Yeah, you know what,
who
send
we
that over-
hire
send that
to
over
do
to
all
Brad,
the
too.
work.
thank you.
so I called the plumber, yesterday, so
The
he.
plumber's doing work inside the house, though, right?
No, he plumbing was the one who was connecting the pipes for the sewer.
This one was for the sewer, but we
Yeah.
have another plumber for something else.
Yes, yes, for inside.
Right.
Does
That's
DPW
enough.
have an inspection process?
Yeah, they
For
didn't,
this?
they didn't do a post,
I
they,
mean-
they only pulled the permit with, but they didn't get the
Which is
inspection.
what's DPW's thoughts on this one? Are they curious?
So we got the
They're not
we got the
surprised.
permits here from the
Yeah,
That's
from
what
the
they
And
thought.
Tim
from the
went
PW.
at the property.
Tim.
then
I know, this is gonna be
the
difficult. Did you
inspector,
read
and
this?
he's a commissioner
Okay.
too, I guess.
How do I? I got it, I got those two.
So can I just point out,
Yes,
Mr. Vidal,
Yes.
your June 10th,
This is just a
2024
permit to commit.
email that says, "Good afternoon, Jamie," as in Jamie Phelan, my assistant. We did receive the document via PDF several weeks ago. I've reviewed the order of conditions, therefore, we haven't started any excavation work yet. I mean, that's saying that you read it. I'm assuming you understood it, and that you didn't start any work yet because you knew you had pre-construction requirements to fulfill.
That was in June.
Yeah, I
That
got your
was,
email
that
right
was
here.
that was the sewer line was started after that, in July.
Yeah,
I know. Right, so in June, you said, yeah, I know what the order says, haven't started work yet.
But my point is that we follow through everything that is in the engineering plan.
on this permit that I have, your permit, your application for your sewer connection, the permit is issued, but it's not inspected.
We didn't find a copy, like
Do you have a
the-
copy
the-
that says- 'cause
yeah,
this
that-
one-
we
this
took
one-
a picture of that.
This one's not inspected. This needs.
Yeah, I know, but we took a
This one-
picture at that
this
time
one
because we
isn't-
couldn't
isn't
find
inspected.
everything.
So that is the plumbing connection.
I think,
Yeah. When it got inspected, we have the other permit, he assigned it,
I
it's
think,
right there.
It says, okay, inspected.
The rough end was okay.
So if you can
But
go, if you go, sorry, if you go online, you can see that the permit for plumbing is closed.
And the permit for the sewer is closed already too.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's closed in the system.
Amy, have we been in contact with DPW? Do they have any particular feeling about this matter?
Not yet, so,
The only, I mean, I contacted DPW to ask them, did they pull a permit for the connection? And they said, yeah. But we didn't do a final inspection, which wasn't
Yeah.
surprising.
there has been no inspection to the sewer tie-in.
Okay.
There were pre-construction requirements that were never met.
Yep, so Amy, those are, the bond, and, there was one other pre-construction condition, right?
Well, the
Pre-construction meeting with you?
there's more than that.
Amy recommended that the project engineer review the installation and document any deviations from the order of conditions. I think that sort of takes the
Yeah.
confusion out of
Yeah,
it.
we need the registered professional engineer to,
Yeah, your project manager that you hired,
Yes.
he should be able to attest what was done in comparison with our order of conditions. And he should be able to tell us what was done, were all these conditions satisfied, and he could identify which conditions were not satisfied. And I think that's probably a good first step to figuring out what,
Mr. Vidal,
So-
do you have an engineer that's working for you, an actual engineer?
So, yeah, so isn't on there. So we heard this Alex for the project.
He's a registered professional engineer?
Yeah,
Yes.
he took it through the permitting process.
So he should-
Shongra's Engineering.
He should be here representing you tonight. He should be here, because he could answer these questions for us.
Because as far as, so I talked to him, so the only thing that we didn't meet was that I didn't know that we need to let the commission know prior to start the work.
Yeah, that's one of the things.
Exactly.
That's one. You have several others that you didn't do.
And Amy, what?
Yeah, like the
I wanna
recording,
start putting this
like the
order together.
$5,000.
Yeah,
So
So-
the precondition things that you
So-
wanted were bond,
well, okay, so I'll read them.
Yeah.
So $5,000 bond
Yes.
to be posted.
Okay.
Prior to construction and in consultation with the conservation administrator, the applicant shall remove all permanent structures from the 25-foot no disturb zone and the 50-foot no build zone. This includes the shed, fence, dog enclosure, pen, between the existing deck and the wetlands, as well as any light fixtures, wiring attached to trees. The items shall be removed from the property or relocated outside the 50-foot no-build zone. Any piles of trash, debris, landscaping, waste must be removed from the property and disposed of, and that needs to happen before any construction started. Prior to construction and in consultation with the conservation administrator, the 25-foot no-disturb zone will be marked with wetland markers. Wetland scientist to be the erosion control monitor engaged to inspect the property weekly.
Those were the whitings.
All right, so
Wetland flagging to be checked and reestablished in the field before work started. A DEP file number posted at the street. Erosion controls installed per the plan, which I have no idea if that happened. Emergency stockpile. We needed a detailed construction sequence. Dewatering was not anticipated as part of the project. However, dewatering BMPs are depicted on the approved plan, and they needed to be installed and ready for inspection at the pre-construction meeting.
Hey, so,
So,
Amy, this, according to your notes, this construction commenced August 14th of
Well,
2024.
probably before that, but that's the first time I got,
So
that's
a verifiable date?
a verifiable date right
Okay,
there in the
okay.
aerial.
All right. So, I think you've had, our records show that you started construction somewhere around August of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And you started it with no pre-construction hearing, no bond recorded. You didn't comply with any of the pre-construction requirements.
Understand.
That's where the problem is tonight, is you're still not where you have to be. You should have had your engineer here to answer questions
Yes, yes.
on engineering. I think what we're gonna do is, we're gonna issue an enforcement order with the items that you need to address. Amy's gonna generate that enforcement order, get it to you, and then you're gonna have to get that with your engineer and respond back.
So-
But we're gonna give you an enforcement order with what needs to be done.
So is
So
there,
it'll be clear.
is there any ways to bring, because the engineer, he was aware of this, so is there any ways to bring him here to answer all the questions?
Well, here's what's gonna happen. To make it easier for you.
Yes.
yeah, because, excuse me.
We'll direct that, but what's gonna happen is we'll issue an enforcement order with a list of what the items are. Then before the next meeting, when he should be here, you could show it to him
Okay,
and say, look, these are the items that they're gonna be talking to you about. And that'll give him some time to prepare.
okay.
I think that's the best way, that's the fairest way to do it for you.
Yes, because this project costs us $90,000. If we know, we will keep and replace the septic.
I mean, our
it's
intention-
like a kind of
I
out
get
of control
Our,
right now.
our
That's-
intention was doing everything by the book, like, I mean,
You just needed some guidance.
Exactly.
You didn't get the proper guidance.
Yeah, you didn't do anything by the book on this.
no, I understand.
Yeah, I know,
That's
it's
why,
like not
you
even
know, I'm
close.
sorry, but we hired this engineer, and
understand.
he came to the meetings. We didn't come because he told us we no need to come, and he came couple times. So,
Well,
it's getting
that's-
frustrating for me, because the septic is more cheaper, and we couldn't replace it, that's it, you know?
So I will not spend $100,000, to do everything just like that.
We're gonna try to help you, but we gotta give you an enforcement order directly.
Yeah, sure.
No, that's
sure.
fine.
So, Amy, if you just draft up the enforcement order exactly as you want it, and then one of us at the table here will move it, and we'll issue it effective tonight.
Okay, so I had other suggestions.
Yep, yep, like, fine.
Penalty fines and recording the enforcement.
I don't know if
order.
that's appropriate yet.
Well, I think that, I think fines are good motivators. And we can fine and also hold them in abatement when certain deadlines are met.
Sounds
And
like
it
sounds like you're ready to
administrator
make a
is-
motion.
is- You know, I think there's been, I understand it's not the applicant, it may be the applicant's engineer, but I don't think she's getting any movement forward based upon the way things have gone so far. Are these fair statements, Amy?
Yeah, well, it just happened Monday, so,
Oh, it just happened.
I mean,
Okay.
you know what I mean? But I think, shifting blame to contractors when actually you're the permit holder, you're the owner, you are ultimately responsible for compliance.
Yeah, yeah,
So
you
it's-
guys understand that even though you're saying it's your engineer that's dropping the ball and.
Yeah,
stuff like
but
that,
it's
you
first
guys are
time,
still the
yeah,
responsible
yeah,
parties.
we understand that, but it's
So
the
now-
first time, we are a couple junks,
Yep.
we're
Now
in the
we-
30s, so, that's why we try to get the proper guidance, but we didn't.
Yep,
Amy, I would suggest as part of that enforcement order, that I think we're ordering the applicant to bring his engineer in front of us. We should also have a written response to your list of deficiencies. We need to have something in writing prior, along with the presentation from the engineer that I think we're going to order.
Yeah, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, I mean, just,
I mean, one of the big things is you gotta issue that, you gotta get that bond paid to the
Yeah,
town.
that's
Yeah,
not a
no,
problem.
no, sir, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
now
not-
we
not-
understand
not a
that.
problem.
Okay.
So we will talk also with the engineer tomorrow and discuss that, and to the people we already paid upfront, so
Yeah, so-
where the money is. But for us, it's no problem to bring the bond tomorrow with the 5,000 under our name.
And the other thing they need to do is they gotta get the orders of conditions filed with the registry of
It
deeds.
is.
It is
It was
already.
It was the one thing that
See, they're getting there.
they knew enough to do.
Baby steps.
This is slow, baby steps, slow progress, but I think that if you get the enforcement order that we're gonna issue you, and give a copy of it to your engineer, explaining to him that part of the enforcement order requires that your engineer be here in 2 weeks, come back in front of us to answer some of these questions that you're just not able to answer them, because they work that he did. And that's what you pay him for.
Yes.
And you can tell them that some of these commissioners are thinking about issuing fines.
To the engineer.
Well, no, it wouldn't be the engineer, it would be these folks, and if you don't want that to happen, make sure he gets on the ball.
Okay.
All right, so,
So if we get a fine, so how much that would,
No,
that
but
would
I
be?
don't know what to
No fine check.
No.
well, not yet.
Not
We're
yet.
gonna give you a chance
Yep.
to comply with the enforcement order. We're gonna give you an enforcement order that's free of charge for now. But it'll turn into a fine in 2 weeks if it doesn't have compliance. Okay?
So
Alright.
the bond, it have to be, what is the name? North Andover, Town of North
Town
Andover?
of,
And conservation
Just payable to the town of North Andover.
and the memo?
And we will prepare the bond paperwork. We need a W-9 from you guys.
Okay, no problem.
you can get a W-9 online. and
No,
fill it
I
out.
know, I know
You
how
got
to
it?
fill it
Okay,
out.
all right,
Yeah,
good,
I
good.
can do it.
You're way ahead of us then, that's good. All right, good. I think we're ready for a motion here.
Do we have a contingency quickly for them if, say, their engineer can't be here exactly in 2 weeks, maybe he's still as an engineer?
We have all kinds of discretionary authority, but
Yeah.
we have to start somewhere.
Well, I just think in that case, if they call their engineer, I mean, we want to talk to Alex, the guy who did the plans. And if he can't make it next week, I don't
We're gonna-
want them to panic or them to send
So
another
let's-
engineer.
If
No,
that,
we'll
if
ask
that's
for
the
continue.
case, we're gonna wanna know why,
Yep,
all right?
yep. That's what I was going to say, just don't worry, if he can't make it, just talk to Amy or come and explain to us.
We'd rather you tell him he has to be here.
Yeah, that's what we would rather do, but.
Brad's a nice guy.
Okay.
I'm not so nice.
I'm not, no, I am. Okay, so, I'm looking for,
I move that we put in place an enforcement order in accordance with Amy's articulated
recommendations.
points. What are we gonna call these?
Bullet, list of
Yeah, list of items.
List of deficiencies.
Yeah, list of
and
deficiencies.
non-compliance with
Yep.
the order of conditions.
Except for the
And
fines.
require the engineer to provide a written response to those non-compliant.
And be present at the
And
next
be
meeting.
present at the
and
next meeting.
If he can't explain, he or she explain why.
Okay, great. And the commission continues to retain its discretion to issue fines for non-compliance.
Just a question,
Yes.
do we have, is there a cease and desist order in place, or do you want one?
No, this will be it.
This will be it?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
So that is my motion.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion from anybody? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Okay, so you have an enforcement order, Amy will get a copy of it to you tomorrow, and then you gotta get right in touch with your engineer same day and get things rolling. All right, and stay in touch with Amy, please.
Okay.
Please stay in touch with Amy. All right.
Do you want
Thank you.
these back, or do you want me to?
You guys need, so that's the plumbing and the electrical permit for
Yeah.
the pump connection. Do you need
You want me
it?
to keep it?
Yes, keep it, please.
Okay, all right, thank you. So I will need the morning at least to get that ready, so,
Around noon then?
yeah, probably after lunch.
I will email you too, so you can email me.
Okay,
too.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
What time do you wanna bring the check over? You can do it at the
I
same
can-
time.
Tomorrow I have to work, so I will be back at 12 p.m., 1 p.m.
So maybe, Amy, if you don't have a site visit after work, after lunch, you
Yeah.
can meet them and
Yeah, they can come to the office and,
you can take the check and give them the.
Yeah,
give them
last
the-
time I came downstairs.
okay.
All right, that's a good idea. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right,
All right,
thank you.
thank you.
All right, thank you,
for
guys.
coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, last item on the agenda is 135 North Ramp Road with a 30-day update. I pray it's a fast update.
Well,
Apparently not so much, huh?
well, the,
Nothing? No, I think it's significant.
so the airport went out for an RFP for leasing the land that Dynamic Waste is on and a portion of 135 North Ramp Road. Dynamic Waste did respond to the RFP and was awarded that lease. Part of the lease was, part of their proposal was that they were going to assist with some of the construction tasks that are governed by the order of conditions and the enforcement order. So Dynamic Waste Council submitted a letter today just apprising us of that and asking if the commission would extend the deadlines for the enforcement order tasks C5 and C6. C5 basically requires that within 30 days of this second amended enforcement order, the applicant shall furnish the names, resumes, and contact information of the chosen or potential licensed site professional and erosion control monitor scientists that would provide project oversight. The LSP's qualifications shall be reviewed by the Conservation Department and in consultation with the NACC. This information will be placed on the subsequent NACC agenda. And then C6 required the next 30 days, the applicant shall provide information pertaining to project logistics, and conservation staff will provide a report to the NACC. And that would include procurement of construction pricing and quotes, contact information of the chosen contractor, construction schedule, submittal requirements pursuant to the order of conditions, pre-construction requirements, and all other requisite submittals as required by the order. So they're asking for those two bunches of information and tasks to be shifted to the April 23rd, 2025 NACC meeting because they need time to finalize the lease and then figure out, probably divide and conquer in terms of who's going to tackle what.
Well, if I understand, they're asking for us to amend our enforcement order?
Yep. To shift C5 and C6 tasks to April 23rd, 2025 meeting.
So I'm gonna ask you very directly, is there any harm to doing that?
I don't think so. I mean, I do think that Dynamic Waste is a good partner for the airport. I mean, they've been sort of present throughout this whole thing and willing to offer help, and they helped with stabilizing the washout. So I feel like the airport's kind of lucky that they're around.
So they appear to be a motivated tenant.
Yes.
They want to work
Yes.
within the confines, they
Yes.
just need some time on two items.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see how everybody feels about this.
Seems like the gears are in motion. What's 2 months? We've been waiting how many years?
Couple, three?
All right. I mean, I'm not gonna wanna see any other extensions past this one. I
Right.
get that there's lease issues, but I don't want them to come back then with 2 more months.
Right.
I think I'm cool with this one.
I'm abstaining from.
Okay, yep,
Oh, that's
I got
right.
you, you're right.
What
One
was that?
abstention, Jane. Go ahead, sir.
Sorry, just a clarifying question. In the original order, there was sort of C5, 30 days later, C6. Would these be simultaneous now in the same?
It's kind of sounds like it.
Okay.
They bunched them together in their letter.
Okay. I didn't know if there was some reason they needed one to come 30 days before the other, but
They didn't say that,
Okay.
so.
Thank you.
Get somebody hired right now, and that guy to come to us with a plan. So you would think they would still need the separation.
Good.
Thank you.
Mayday?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with April 23rd.
And although I'm not voting on this, I will say I have no objection to the request.
Yeah, I don't have any objection either, but I'm not gonna be surprised if they say, oh no, we meant to still have that 30 days subsequent C6. So, as long as they're really gonna get it, everything to us done by the proposed date, I'm okay with it.
David?
I guess I'm just a little confused about your comment, by which I mean, so if we type up something that says, yeah, sure, if you can have if you can have C5 and C6 done by the 23rd, we're great with that, but if they come back and go, oh, no, actually, we meant April for one and May for the other,
Yeah, I think we need clarification.
I think we need to be clear about that.
Yeah.
Because I obviously have not had to deal with this for 2 years, but we're dealing with it for 2 years, and, so in the grand scheme of things, an extra 2 months isn't a big deal, but if 2 months becomes 4 months, becomes 6 months,
Right.
becomes a bigger deal.
So we could clarify that, Amy.
Okay.
We could clarify that the extension dates
Now coincide.
are meaning and intended to be the same.
The water specifically said that date.
Yeah, so I just think we just be very clear that
Yep.
we're amending it to accept what you proposed in your letter, which is everything's done the
Right.
23rd, not we're shifting everything,
Right.
So you can make that notation accordingly.
Some first-year associate's gonna get in trouble.
It's important to take the ambiguity out of the permit.
Right.
So C5 and C6 will be allowed to be extended until April 23rd for both. No separation of,
Yeah.
or whatever the legal term is, I don't know.
That's 2
You guys have a nice turn of lap.
I mean, the project engineer said, they want to be ready to roll by May, June.
Okay.
So it seems like,
Listen, I believe
no, I get it.
I believe him, and I believe that things happen. And the last time we had this thing in the home stretch,
Yep.
we got hit with a 2,000-year rainstorm that took the whole place out.
I know.
So, things happen.
Right.
All we can do is just do the best we can with it, so.
All right.
All right, so I need a motion to modify or accept the modification request.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And
And
one
Marissa-
abstention, unanimous with one abstention, and Amy, you will make the date change clear.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
I don't see anything else on the agenda.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, that was late. That wasn't on the agenda, but I just wanted to give it to you because I received it. We can close and you guys just.
That's an FYI, right?
Yeah.
Or does it require some discussion?
They're trying to stay on the schedule that they originally proposed. They were looking at the warm-up, this week and next, and,
I can tell you that
at least they went out today.
their photograph accurately represents the
What-
conditions.
what it looks like.
Absolutely.
Yep.
There's no variation, they didn't screw around, that's an accurate photo.
Okay, cool.
So, that's just for the file?
That's just, yeah.
For the file, okay,
Yeah,
so
just
we have
to
a
let
motion and a
you know.
second to adjourn, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous, we're adjourned, thank you.